Welcome to the African Album Review Podcast, where we review Africa's best and latest music projects.
Sauti Sol is African music royalty, and they recently released their fifth studio album titled Midnight Train on June 5th, 2020.
The latest African album review is... Loading!
Midnight Train is released under Universal Music Group South Africa. It comprises 13 tracks with a 45-minute runtime, 10 features including Indie Ben Soul, Black Motion, Soweto Gospel Choir, Jamaica's Mortimer, and more. The album is largely self-produced with multiple producer placements and collabos including Andre Harris, Keisha, Mbox, Kagwe DTX, and more. I have to say the cover is easily one of my favorite. It's very colorful with the quartet wearing some impressive motherland-inspired outfits that mix Kitenge, Ankara, prints as accents to the solid colors. The general aesthetic is a nighttime setting to go with the album title, of course. The guys are sitting on a train and standing as well on the outside at the front. The train is rigged up to the teeth with speakers, so you know this musical journey will be interesting. Polycarp is holding what looks like one of the famous Flying V guitars, but when you look closely, it's also a V-shaped double neck guitar, so it's curious stuff if you're into guitars for sure. All the group members besides Willis are wearing some form of eyewear, which I assume symbolizes their ability as a group to see music differently and pass it on to the people. They all adopt unique poses, looking in different directions, showing their individuality, which blends to give us something unique. Without making this review about the cover, there's so much detail that you'll notice something new each time you look at it. Sometimes it feels like the art of album covers had been neglected, but I get the sense that we're getting back to the exciting covers again. One thing to note is how they used the cover to make promotional audiograms where the moon and other elements move in the background while a music snippet is playing on what would normally be a static image. Brilliant stuff, I tell you, and great use of the cover to tie in the promotional creative and keep the audience engaged. As a marketer by profession, these are things I can greatly appreciate.
Album review.
Let's analyze the music.
Midnight Train opens up with what sounds like a rehearsal session over a catchy guitar riff where they sing "Do What Makes You Happy." With the help of the glorious vocals of visually impaired musician Crystal Asige, you instantly note the quality of the recording, and this is something that they carry throughout the album. The opening track is really something. It starts off with the sound of a train picking up from stationery and embarking on a journey. Symbolic much? Yeah. You get infectiously rhythmic melodies with positive and strong Kiswahili lyrics mixed with English. The bass on this song is masterful. It carries the song in an African sort of funk-inspired way. Are you steady rocking on the Midnight Train to Zion yet? I am. What an entry to the music on the album. Insecure follows Midnight Train, and it was the third single from this album to be released after Suzanna and Brighter Days featuring Soweto Gospel Choir. It is a powerful number that tackles self-awareness, self-esteem, self-worth, and other inward feelings that many of us have dealt with at some point in our lives. On another promotional masterclass, one of the promo strategies for this song was the video they released on social, where each member confronted their insecurities and spoke about what affected them in their personal lives. For them to open up was such a bold move because we see them as stars, but they come to us as human beings. The song does justice to the vulnerability and honesty you'd expect from it. One of the album's best. Great work by Sauti Sol and Andre Harris on production.
Find us on motomotomusic.com.
A surprise on this album was the song My Everything. 3 reasons to that. First, Keisha produced it. India Ari featured on it and absolutely killed her performance. And 3, Swahili sounds exceptional on a Kizomba beat. I think the DR Congo native Keisha showed his class and maturity on production, while India Ari proved why she's such a queen. Sauti Sol, on the other hand, really should do more Kizomba-influenced songs, especially after Love Again with Sifo Pedro, Cuatro Pedro. And it was also produced by Keisha, so I think this combination is something to watch out for in the future. You get a more ballad-inclined number on tracks such as Feel My Love, which takes a soft guitar Afropop stance. And you also get the Pasada-styled songs such as Suzanna, which rely on a melodic bass line to give it a groovy bounce from start to finish. In comes Rumba Japani, interesting title, which has a Congolese rumba sound. And the hard-panned ad-libs come as a welcome surprise too. This shows you the variety and versatility you get courtesy of the supergroup.
Album Review.
The technical side of things.
The themes on Midnight Train are centered around social commentary, winning at life, uplifting others, healthy relationships, finding inner strength, existing in harmony with others, happiness, positivity, and love. It's hard for me to even cover the range here because they look at society with a new lens where the music is fire, but the message is so emboldening. It's quite a challenge to strike such a balance as a musician, and very few can do it well. The album kind of has 2 halves, songs 2 to 7, then songs 9 to 13. The first half is a bit more streamlined in purpose and message, with a slower tempo in general, just overall. Not snail-paced slow, but not fast either, so I guess mid-tempo somewhat. And the second half seems to be far more experimental than the first. The high variance in style shows that, especially by the time you reach track 13. I don't hate it, and I get the feeling that some of these songs are a way to stay fresh with ideas and also channel their own curiosities as musicians without necessarily compromising the business side. It also helps them to capture different audiences as they make genres that may not be big in Kenya. If you've followed these reviews for a while, you know that occasionally I express how many artists, especially in the younger crowd, are making songs shorter and shorter. This has been a worldwide trend where songs that barely scrape the 2-minute mark are becoming more common. One of the reasons is to maximize streaming numbers. I'm glad to say Sauti Sol does not do this, and I love it. They really develop their songs, and the shortest song on the album is 3 minutes 11 seconds long without counting interludes, and the longest song is 4 minutes 24 seconds. When it comes to the quality, I'm talking mixing, mastering, that sonic presence, songwriting, delivery, and all that. Midnight Train is one of the best albums I've heard from anyone. It is absolute class. The songwriting shows a group that has mastered a new realm of conveying messages and feelings. Especially after Burna Boy's Grammy nomination, this is the type of album I would love to be submitted for a Grammy because it is truly brilliant in many aspects and time was put into this.
Album Review.
The final thoughts.
Although it's not an entirely no-skips album for me, there is absolutely very little to fault on Midnight Train. The songs I would skip are about pure personal preference rather than an insight into any negativity. That is the fair stand on that. I believe there's always another level that any artist can reach, but honestly, I tried hard to think what I would change and I risk being needlessly pedantic. Sauti Sol did exceptionally well on Midnight Train. One thing is for sure, the Surayako Nishike type Sauti Sol is long gone. They are gone. Their music has really grown into something much more different than those days. In that sense, many of Sauti Sol's fans are growing with them as they mature in their individual lives. Their music is more distinctly guitar-laden, but it's not something new. It's just more pronounced and I guess has that little flavor which I can totally hear at each turn. And their social commentary is touching topics more in depth than before. Their music has moved to encompass a much wider demographic and it's consumable across the board, young to old. My favorite songs from Midnight Train by Sauti Sol are Soba, Nenda Lote, My Everything, the title track Midnight Train, Insecure, and Rumba Japani, which features the Sauti Sol generation, the Soul Generation label talent. I don't know if I want to say this is Sauti Sol's best album to date because African Source from last year has some serious bangers and great collabos too. African Source to me is the more feature-heavy, commercially recognizable project with so many sing-alongs and hits, while Midnight Train is Sauti Sol setting themselves apart and really showing who they are and who they've grown to be with exceptional musicality on their terms. Your pick is as good as mine, but yeah, Midnight Train is really good. Midnight Train by Sauti Sol is available everywhere online and it is worth every listen. You will find some great music for a variety of occasions. And that's it for me. My name is MJ Wemoto and this was the African Album Review Podcast. I will catch you guys next time. Peace. Dan.
Moto Moto Music, the best place to listen to podcasts about African music online.